Welcome into the Pop Culture Pile Driver. I am Jason Rossi. You can follow us along on the old Twitter machine at Pop Culture PD. That is Pop Culture. That's one word. And then PD. With me, as always, is my tag team partner in the podcast sphere, Billy D. Billy D, what's going on?
Hello. Hey, what's up? Not much. Had a bad eating day off, so I'm not too upset about it, but I was not proud of what I ate.
All right, well then, inquiring minds need to know, what did you eat? What is a bad day in the world of you?
I went to go have that raisin toast in the morning, and I got burnt it. Like it was a set.
Burn that toast.
Yeah, I forgot it was set the bagel, so that was ruined. So I had a PB&J, then I had Popeyes, then I had Choco Tacos, and then I had mac and cheese. So I feel like an absolute pig.
And what was the stretch of time? That's always important, I always feel like, as someone who has done their fair share of eating.
I woke up at probably 9, so 9 to just within the last hour.
Oh, it's like a full day.
Yeah, but it was not good. So diet starts tomorrow.
Apparently. Don't forget, you can, if you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, you can do that on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get a podcast, literally anywhere. If we're not on there, it's not worth having. Aside from that, you can make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, Pop Culture Pile Driver, PCP. It's 3 different words. Get addicted to the content, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, as well as over on Facebook now at the hashtag Dork Shared Universe. We're all on there now, sharing content, liking our own stuff. It's very embarrassingly fun. Getting yelled at, scolded by Goo in the background. It's good.
Do we figure out who it was?
I don't know. It was definitely me one of the times because I was testing because on my iPhone. So if you, by chance, this is completely a non sequitur, that if you have a fan page, whether it's you, whether you worked in media, whatever, you have the ability to like something from your page or for your profile or your page. So I've noticed on my iPhone, it always defaults to the page. On my iPad, I've had it now understand when it's me as in Jason Rossi, the person. So I was testing that out, but I don't know who it is. And I'm sure everyone who's doing it has the same issue. It's like the same thing even on Twitter. Sometimes I click something, I'm like, I'm going to like that as Pop Culture Pile Driver, which you can follow again at Pop Culture PD. We strive for 105 right now. Yep, high goals. Once we get to that 105 followers, Bill, I will take a picture like Robin Williams in 1 hour photo, pants down.
A shit. On
the toilet, yes. It may actually be. I think some people are liking the old post, but that's not a big deal. Well, aside from a big belly full of food and feeling like a fool, what else is on your mind, Bill?
Watched Hamilton today. It was good.
I loved it.
I was not blown away. I mean, I'm a huge fan of musicals, and I think what really hurt it wasn't like a film adaptation of it. It was just a musical tape live, and I feel that really takes away from the performance. But Mac of the Mac and Goo program, aptly named, brought up the point, and this is kind of what I was not thinking of, but was really what was the problem with it for me. It was too much music. There was no breathing to it. There was no real other story. It was just all constantly. I was just overwhelmed with it. They were all good songs, but I was just I need a little bit of breath. I need some building. I need some drama. I just think it lacked a little bit in that. It was very good. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it.
Interesting. See, I think for me, I'm I wouldn't say I'm a musical fan per se. I wouldn't say I'm not a music fan. I just like live events, whether it's sports, music. I'm obviously a big music fan, plays, all that kind of stuff. I went to I'll see every year usually in the Boston Opera House, they do Frosty the Snowman or stuff like that in the winter season, and getting those free passes. Always dug that. But this one, for some reason, really grabbed my attention because of the same reasons you didn't like it. I like that it was just straight this hip hop musical the whole way through. There was no just, all right, we're going to have a discussion now, which I can understand being both sides. But it really did make me angry that I didn't spend the money when I had opportunities in the past to go see this. It would have been a trip to New York. It would have been a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. But I just thought it was really cool. And I get what you're saying, because I think we will see a Hamilton movie, obviously, probably in the next, hopefully, with all things considered, probably next 2 years. Mm-hmm. But I think the success of this will definitely spin into them actually getting actors or maybe even these characters playing the characters in this movie, which, another thing was interesting. I think there was only one white actor in the whole entire play.
Yeah, there was some background people in there that were white. But the other thing, too, is I think, who is it? Lin-Manuel Omar?
Something like that.
That guy, I think, should not have played the lead. I know he wrote it,
really,
but he wasn't as good as the other people in the play. You could clearly see that, those other guys were not that he was bad, but I think he was like, okay, this is the main guy. He wrote it. He wants to be in it. Maybe he should have cast like a legitimate, like unbelievable up and coming Broadway guy. I just didn't feel the same with him every time. I was like, he's lacking a little bit. Maybe that's because I knew he wrote it too. But then like, I don't know. I also felt like he was just flexing the fact that the whole thing was music. Like that is, it's an accomplishment. It's a feat, but I felt like he did it to the detriment of like pacing and story and time and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you there again. I think I think he was good. I thought he was like the best. Like,
good.
I think he was the best actor out of them. I think the guy who played Thomas Jefferson was by far the best like artist, and the guy who played George Washington, my God, that guy could sing me back to life if I was dead. Mm-hmm. He was amazing. Yeah, I thought overall, I don't know, I just really liked it. I think I saw like Mac was talking about like, oh, I'm gonna have to watch it again. For me, that's a hard second watch, but the music I just loved. I really did. And it's so funny they talked about all this editing they were gonna do because it's on Disney Plus. They only edited, I think, the F word and the S word. Everything else was in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
swears.
I mean, I love musicals, but I love kind of big production. Like Rent is like my favorite one. That one's amazing, and like I just the singing in that is the main focal point, whereas this one was a more hip-hop one, which is it's good. I love hip-hop. It's probably my favorite kind of music, but to me it's not the kind of musical I would prefer.
Well, we'll see what that maybe the next release. Again, don't forget, this was something finally Disney Plus did something to make you want to watch it, by the way, so I give them kudos on that as well. It's really they've done nothing.
I watch The Simpsons almost every night to go to bed, but that's
I mean new stuff. I mean like giving you a secondary, like anything new. Obviously I know we're living in some very odd
just
times.
The Mandalorian that was really like eye popping.
Yeah, and they released like obviously some of these newer movies.
Onward was great.
Yeah, so I haven't seen it. I haven't really watched any of the movies recently, which is weird not having a kid, but it's not like he like is like paying attention. He's just kind of like looks at it, looks at me and is like, yeah, what else are we doing? I'm like, okay, I'll throw you around for a few minutes. But yeah, so what's on my mind? It's been weird. I had a bunch of things earlier. Now, like that we talked about, like, yeah, I definitely enjoyed Hamilton. There's been a lot of stuff. Like, I feel like baseball now being back, sports coming back, giving me like a pretty good feel. Like, I think if sports are to play, it will be the turn of whatever this whole situation we're living in will be. Because I think that will just be a good sign. If they don't play, which highly could happen, I think it's a whole nother situation there that I think could be scary. I think that would really suck, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see, it going well because once one guy gets it on the team, they're going to shut down. And are you going to shut down the whole, like, you're just going to give them auto wins and stuff? That's going to kind of suck, especially in NBA playoffs. So I'm looking forward to the return of sports, but I'm not optimistic that it's going to come actually all the way through.
Yeah, I don't think all three sports are going to have championships. That's my weird, odd prediction. But I want them to. Like the thing is, I don't want this to be a negative. I want this to be a positive. I want to find I've been listening a little more to sports radio again, just because I feel like there's more like sport like things to talk about. Also, I think it is really funny. Patrick Mahomes, on Total Sports Note, gets this huge contract. Like, what a weird time we're living in when a guy gets basically what could be up to like $450 million.
503, they said in total.
Oh, perfect. Like, the numbers just keep inflating. $100 million contract, and we have so many people in America right now that can't even get a job or go back to work yet as these phases continue. It's just like, it's such a weird world we're living in right now, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to entertain. We're here to have some fun. I just brought us down for absolutely no reason, Bill. But today we're talking about summer blockbusters because we just passed the weekend of 4th of July, historically known as the weekend of releases of monster movies, not monsters in like scary, but more like we're talking, they can gift that later. We're talking more in the fact of monster hits, summer blockbusters, to be titled. That all came from a little known movie called Jaws in 1975. It was the very original summer blockbuster. We're today going to talk about the best summer blockbusters of our lifetime. And I believe our lifetime span is only a difference of like 12 or 13 months. But so you have one extra calendar year on me on that, but we're going to talk about the best ones. But before we even get into it, when you think summer blockbuster, like obviously we'll talk about these, but like what is the first thing that like comes to mind, like a huge summer blockbuster?
For me, it was Jurassic Park, and we can just start there because that's on my list. It was the one that I remember. Like my family went to the movies, like my whole family, like my aunts, my uncles, my mom and dad, my sister, and we did that entirely one time in our lifetime, and that was it. We never did anything together. Like my grandmother came, and like we all went to go see Jurassic Park because it had like that big feel of like this is a must-see movie, and that was the kind of way that I looked at this. So I have, you know, a different take on why I picked each one. This one was like very sentimental to me, and it was a legit blockbuster. This movie was fucking awesome. You know, like I watched it 2 days ago. It still holds up.
Yeah, we'll dig into it. But I agree. Like, I think when I first hear summer blockbuster, obviously, I think Jurassic Park as well, to be honest. I think it's like one of those movies, because you know what it did? It came out like a month, I think it was like somewhere in June. And I remember it as a kid because I actually went to the theater 3 times to see it. And all 3 times, you know the part where Newman dies? I don't know his character name, which basically created the whole spinoff of the whole series, which I think, honestly, I don't know if you want to call it a hot take or not. I think Jurassic Park is the only Jurassic shared universe movie worth watching. I think the rest of them are all crap. Like, legit, not even close to being as good as this, or as fun, or as entertaining, or as cared for as characters, written. Everything about this movie was better than any of the other ones combined.
The first Chris Pratt one I really liked. Might have been just because the redhead girl, because I really thought she was super hot.
I'll give you a good episode of Black Mirror to watch with her.
I think I know. That's the one where she like goes to the party. It's like the Meow Meow Beans episode for Black Mirror. But if you haven't seen Community, but that's like basically
I know you're talking about. Yeah, it's about getting likes.
Yeah. So it came out in actually not the summer technically. It was June 11th, 1993. But this was like, I remember literally to this day being in the movie theaters, you know, pulling what we call a Billy amongst our friends and like having to run to the bathroom and run back to try and not miss as much of the movie as I could.
Now, I will say, as someone that is a larger man, not as large as I used to be, not as small as I once was, but I used to hate going to anything with Bill because he would always have to take the aisle seat. Now, when you're like, I was probably at one point pushing like 250, 260, maybe a little higher. This bald look ain't making me look much better, but Pinhead over here. But the point of this is that I hated going to things with Bill because he would always get the aisle seat. Kid was like 155 pounds soaking wet. Jeans couldn't fit him because he couldn't keep his waist. They didn't make waist size 26. And this kid was just, I was like, what the hell? And he's like, I got to pee all the time. Movies, everything. And this is before we had like super comfortable seating, sporting events, anything. He would get the end. It's like, oh, crap. So I'm squishing my lard ass into smaller seats. But anyways, back to the point of what I was saying. The part where Newman dies in the movie when he gets sprayed by that really scary looking dinosaur. I never saw that scene till eventually came out on VHS because my dad took me out of the theater 3 times when we saw that because he didn't want me to see that scene. And I questioned him. When you're a kid, you don't think twice. Like, okay, scary scene. How the hell did he know when that scene was coming?
I don't know. Maybe he was the creator of Run P.
Honestly, I was in every other scene in that movie. The Velociraptors eating people in the beginning of the movie. I remember being young and scared, but like oddly entertained and like enthralled at the same time. But like to me, it's so funny how like I was taken out of the theater for that scene, not once, not twice, 3 times in that summer. And then eventually I saw the scene. I'm like, that wasn't even bad. Like the dude getting eaten by the Velociraptor off the toilet is 10 times scarier.
Yeah, that's great.
That's scary. Like for
the whole movie is like, if you're gonna get, you know, if you're not gonna let the deaths usually aren't the scariest part. It's usually the suspense, and that one wasn't even graphic. You just get kind of sprayed.
No, it like sprayed, and then they'll jump in like you just see the can follow down the thing. But we'll get into a little more Jurassic Park in just a moment. But you know, like we said, they kicked off with The Godfather. I believe the reason there is a title of the summer blockbuster is Jaws, and the reason that is because it's a summertime movie. What do people want to do in the summertime, Bill? They want to pop the top. They want to get on their little bikinis, and they want to get those cheeks tanned over in the beach. And Jaws ruined that. Jaws ruined that for everybody. Steven Spielberg made that movie. It's my personal favorite movie of all time. I love watching it. Completely understand people that like think it's not. I don't think anybody thinks it's overrated, but I think people completely like it's hard to like watch all the time. Like I think you're a big Shawshank Redemption fan, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I put these two in the same category. Now I've never really, Shawshank Redemption movie I got to rewatch. That's definitely on my list. I was talking to my wife about this. That and A Few Good Men are movies that like I've seen, liked, but I was a kid and I didn't really get it. So I need to rewatch as an adult. But anyways, the thing with Jaws is like it's like Shawshank, it's like you can't watch that movie every day. Even if you like, of course, if you love it, you can. But like there's a lot to like sit through, and there's a lot that goes on. But it became like the movie of the summer, and became everybody and their mother and their children went to flood to theaters or drive-ins at the time to go see this movie. So that's where the whole Blockbuster came from. And there really wasn't a ton. Let's be honest. Like there was like I was looking at an article we were looking at, and I was looking at box office. Like there was a lot of summers where there really wasn't like the movie of the summer, because you have to remember big movies time usually are holidays.
Yeah, holidays is one of the big ones, but there are some huge summer blockbusters, and we have a list of 10.
But that was later. Like they didn't start like the 70s. Like Jaws. Then you didn't get much till we got to the later portion where I think we really kick off our list, which we'll get to in a minute. Because I basically lined these up in chronological order. You can take in any order you want for yours. But I just think it's so funny how like for as many blockbusters, even recently, like we can talk about this. Like a spoiler for this: the earliest one we have is from 1985, and the latest one we have is from 2014. So, like, even the last few years, like, in our eyes, and I think most people would agree, like, they're called summer blockbusters, but I don't really call Toy Story. Was that really a summer blockbuster?
It was close to making my list, Toy Story 3, because I legit was excited to see that movie, and it was the one that I saw, pretty much as a full adult. I think both of the other ones came out when we were a little bit younger. I might have been in, like, 8th or 9th grade. And that one I was legit excited for. Was very emotional towards the end.
Oh like, man, that scene with the toy, with the toys crazy. Going into the bird. I thought they were. That movie did a great job for me as an adult to make me forget that I'm watching a child's movie. Like in that scene, I'm like, they're all about to just melt. Okay, but I'm like, wait, no, this is for kids.
Yeah, and that's what Disney does really well, is make a movie for an adult and a child, and that's where they really hit home runs with all of the Toy Story movies, and kind of you could have wrapped up each one of the Toy Story movies at the very end, and they still found a way to get you another one. I saw, I believe Toy Story 4 came out last summer, because I think it was around this time I took my nieces and nephew to see it. So, I mean,
I've never seen it. Still haven't seen Toy Story 4. And you know what? I've never seen Toy Story 2.
Oh, both of them excellent. I think you've seen the two best, but the other two are very good. They're still, like, if you go to Rotten Tomatoes, they're either near perfect or very close to perfect.
Sure. But again, those are movies like I don't look at it as like a summer blockbuster. Maybe it's also we came up through the 90s, our like, growing years where we have some of the big hitters that we'll get into. But Bill, you want to kick it off? You want me to? I mean,
we already kind of talked about Jurassic Park, PG-13, 2 hours and 7 minutes, came out in 1993. On IMDb, it's 8.1 out of 10.
Wait, I think 0.1?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit, like, honestly, it is really good. 8.1.
Oh, 8. I thought you said A, like an A point. I was like, what is that, a 0?
No. But, you know the story of this. They recreate dinosaurs. They're supposed to all be ladies, but they mix it with some frog DNA, and they turn into men. And they, a bunch of stuff happens in the trailer park. You could go and see the spin-off of this, Billy and the Truckosaurus, as mentioned by The Simpsons. But, it really is a great movie. I watched it again, like I think it was on 4th of July on TV, and I sat down and watched the whole thing. It's still amazing. Jeff Goldblum, unbelievable. Sam Neill, very good. I hate both of the kids. They're both super fucking annoying. I don't like Lauren Dern. You
gotta give. I just almost forgot Tim. You gotta give Tim some credit. That kid, he survived everything. This kid gets electrocuted. He gets it thrown off the side of a cliff in a car by a T-Rex. Survived getting like pecked at by whatever the bird ones are called. I can't even think of Stegosaurus fly. Them too. Everything. The running by things with the big giant poop. This kid almost got murdered several times, and then not to mention him and his sister, which I don't remember her character name. But like the part where they're basically the smart velociraptors, those really brainiac ones, like almost killed them in that kitchen, which is one of the best scenes. That movie is just awesome. It is so. It's like leaps. Like not only do I think it's the best Jurassic Park movie,
is amazing.
It's the best dinosaur movie by far. Like, don't even bring up Godzilla's. Don't bring up anything that's out of like, I love one of my favorite movies is Cloverfield, but like that's Aliens kind of, but like this movie, it's just so damn good. There's nothing unwatchable or not to like about this movie.
I was just going to say, what other dinosaur movies are there? There's pretty much only like monster movies that like they might be dinosaurs.
The only movie that I think, I don't know if you want to put this, obviously it's not dinosaur, but like King Kong could like in that, but like Skull Island was really good. The original King Kong, awesome. I've just in my old days of watching movies with my dad, I love that. But like this movie is by far beats them all. It beats them all, and it's not even close.
What does Keith call it? SDA, Sweet Dino Action.
This has the
This has the most sweet dino action.
This is the only good sweet dino action. I watched Jurassic World. It was a movie full of characters you didn't care about, and you didn't understand where the hell they came from. The only one you cared about was the park owner, and he got croaked. And then the second one was maybe one of the most unwatchable movies I've ever seen. Dinosaurs like with brains and like literally creeping in like spies. That movie's god awful. If anybody says they like that, they're lying. They just want to like it. But everything else, I just think Jurassic Park, amazing movie. Like you said, that's an 8.1 on IMDb. Like I said, I've had a real hard time, and you've been handing out 11s like they're going out of style. That is that's like a 10.5 in the 11 scale.
I think 8 is about right. I might even give it a 7.5. Again,
Step Brothers is an 11.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Like, there are some dull moments in Jurassic Park. The whole Lard and Dern talking to the friggin' park owner. Yeah, it's really fucking boring. But quick question before we move on to the next one. What was your favorite dinosaur as a kid?
As a kid, it was a Velociraptor because
mine was the Triceratops.
Really? Interesting. I love Velociraptor because they were just fast. And then, you know what's funny? I actually became to love that little awkward one that I can't remember the name now, the one that killed Newman, because I got all into that because I had the toys. Let's be honest. Jurassic Park, the real reason this movie is also awesome, they had badass toys.
I didn't have any of the Jurassic Park toys.
Oh, you want to know a quick little aside story? You know, we'd like the wrestling on this podcast. Grant, who is like, Grant, the character, there was an action figure of him who was my WWE champion for quite a long time.
You could have fought Skinner. They would have had a hell of a matchup.
Honestly, there was some amazing matchups. He won them all. He won a King of the Ring tournament. There was a lot of stuff. I used to have my little wrestling with the toys, but as most people were filming themselves in backyard wrestling, I was playing with toys for way too long. Up next, you good with Jurassic Park?
Oh yeah.
We can talk about it all day. Let's be honest. That might have to be its own. For me, I'm going to start off with the summer blockbuster. And the first one that I really recall as a child, it's Terminator 2 Judgment Day. 1991 was released on July 3rd, fitting to be on the exact time frame of the summer blockbuster, July 4th weekends. This was definitely the beginning of that weekend being the releases. This movie grossed a gajillion dollars, Bill. By a gajillion dollars, I actually mean it grossed $439.4 million on the old Rotten Tomato. It is a 93%, and the audience score is 94%. If you love the line hasta luego, hasta la vista, baby, I'll be back. That's this. That wasn't T1. It's T2. Terminator 2 might be one of the best action movies. Also has a great villain. Like the first one, I don't know how much you watch Terminators. The first one's, I don't even think that good of a movie.
I mean, the first one, Arnold's the villain.
Yeah, it's just really not that great of a movie. It's kind of slow. It's dry. It's much darker, but this movie is awesome. This movie's got action. This boy? Yeah, that's a good scene. But honestly, this movie is everything you want. It's got why do I always forget his name? No, I was supposed to call Robert Furlan. What's the kid's name in this movie? He was in Pet Sematary. I can look it up. But the point is, this movie has so many likable things to it, from characters. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Patrick? No, Robert Patrick's the bad guy. He's the Edward Furlong. Or Furlow, whatever his name. You have Linda Hamilton. It's just a star-studded cast, people you cared about, great action. And this movie had so many advertisements. I remember as a kid watching the NBA playoffs. I don't know where the Celtics would have been in 91. I know Bird was still on the team, but I actually remember seeing advertisements for Terminator 2. And it was all this hype. And to me, this was that first, holy smokes, big time action movie. Again, also released over the 4th of July weekend. Incredible movie. And Bill, I will say, when we're just flying out with the hottest of hot takes, this might be the greatest sequel of all time.
I think it's the best, most well-respected sequel of all time. My favorite one is still Major League 2. But yeah, Terminator 2 is up there.
Terminator 2, we could have that argument, but I think there's one thing that's hard to argue is that it is better than the original. And there's not a ton of movies that, because I think Major League 2 might be better than Major League 1, but I could see the argument for both. I don't think there's an argument for Terminator.
No, this movie is 100% better than Terminator 1. I don't remember the first, the Stallone movies, the Rambo movies always confuse me with their titling.
Me too.
But I think it's Rambo, and then Rambo First Blood is the second one, right?
Yeah, yes, it's Rambo First Blood. I know is the second one. Then there's Rambo 3, but it's actually 4. It's a very confusing stuff. And Sylvester Stallone also might be very underappreciated because he writes all his movies and directs parts of them. He's and people just look at him like he's some lunkhead. But I think Terminator 2, I will also say by far with a bullet, the best Terminator movie, and you can put all the rest of them combined, and they're not as good as this one. Salvation, all these new ones they're creating, kiss my ass.
Yeah, that's the other thing with summer blockbusters. If they hit, you get a bunch of them. So far, all the ones we've mentioned, Jaws.
Yep.
Jurassic Park, Terminator. They just made another Terminator movie. They're making another Jurassic Park movie. I mean, they stopped.
Are they really?
Yeah, I think so. They stopped making Jaws movies, but there was like 4 of them.
4 technical Jaws, and then every other movie that has a shark is basically one of Jaws.
I mean, like the Deep Blue Sea is fucking unbelievable. The Meg was awesome. If you like a good bad movie, I fucking love that movie.
The Meg was super dumb, but super worth watching. Then they have all those like 47 meters downs that are actually super scary, but involving sharks. And then they had that movie with Blake Lively, The Shallows.
Mm. All right, so I'll go next. Men in Black, 1997, PG-13, hour and 38 minutes runtime, and action adventure comedy. Came out July 2nd, 1997. Now, this one I was, again, hyped for as a little kid. It has the music video. Will Smith was fucking awesome back then. I was a huge Fresh Prince of Bel-Air fan. I liked his music. Like, everything about him, like, just screamed cool. He's on this list a few times. He was like, he still is kind of the king of summer blockbusters. He was in Aladdin.
The 90s, at least. You can't deny at least the 90s. Like,
he was in the highest grossing one, I think, recently. Aladdin was
last year, right?
Yeah, I think that was 2019. Yeah. So, and he was the best part of that remake. I don't really think they need to remake them, but he at least made it a little bit different. But he's phenomenal in this movie. Everything about him just engrosses you right from the beginning. They establish him as a cool character. The New York cop chases down the alien. He goes to the training, separates himself by kind of being like the smartest guy in the room. We're all like the, sir with the honors, like making fun of like the military guys. And it's just a great, fish out of water story where he gets into, the Men in Black, seeing all the aliens, and like Elvis is an alien. His teacher was an alien. That shit, like the kind of stuff you kind of always thought if you were a conspiracy theory type person, like they kind of pay off. Yeah. Like there was just, and then the dude Monk, Tony Shalhoub.
Oh my God, his head gets knocked off and he recreates. Just J and K. I love like the single name. I know it sounds like simplistic, but like as like a simplistic person, especially being a kid, like I'll never forget those characters' names because they're just J and K. Simplistic. I also just thought, like you said, the music. Will Smith couldn't have been hotter at the time. He's still in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He just came off last year, coming out with Independence Day. It was a little more adult, kids could watch, but this was really for like, you could be 12 years old and you're going to see Men in Black because it was awesome. The scene where that whole alien ship just crashes right in front of them, just great visuals, great tech. The song that was burning up the charts the entire summer. I'm going to quickly look up because I believe that was a #1 song for many weeks.
Oh, it had to be. Like my parents liked that song. It was.
And you could be in the dance too.
Yeah, I forget who sang the original one, but it was like, "Will You Forget Me Not?"
Yeah, Forget Me Not. Yeah, I don't know who it is either. It's just some like late 70s, early 80s, like before Euro trash. But
and she was a female pop star too, I believe, or R&B artist. But he did the same thing. I think exactly tried to recreate the same thing with Wild Wild West to less critical acclaim. And famously turned down the role as Neo in The Matrix.
So I don't blame him. If I had to pick at the time, come on, man, that Wild Wild West, you can't make a song to The Matrix. There's no hit song to The Matrix.
That's very true. I mean, I made the little video to tease this podcast. It was probably one of my favorite videos I've ever made because I fucking love that song.
By the way, Patricia Rushen is the name of the artist who sang Forget Me Not. Forget Me Not. It's a plural. I did not know it's plural. Yeah, and this song, obviously was on Big Willie style. I'm trying to see how long it I'm not seeing how. Charts. It was #1 in a gajillion countries. Belgium, it only reached number 14. Come on, Belgium. So tell me how long. But platinum, 2 times platinum in Australia. Platinum, obviously, in the United States.
It was a big hit.
It was gigantic. It was a song of the summer. It was the movie of the summer. Men in Black, without a doubt, with a bullet. Incredible stuff by Will Smith. Up next for me, we'll go back that 1 year. Bill will reverse time. It was an Independence Day release, July 3rd, 1996. Just for you keeping score, we mentioned, now this Independence Day, Men in Black. When he did do Wild Wild West, that was also released the weekend of July 4th. So he is definitely the master of the summer blockbuster, at least in the 90s. He had that crazy stretch. But Independence Day was released, like I said, on July 3rd. It grossed $624.1 million. My God. On Rotten Tomatoes has a score of 66 on the tomato meter and 75% with audience score. This movie has got a lot of things going for it. It's not the perfect movie. I understand the scoring. Will Smith is hilarious. You also have great Bill Pullman is really good in this movie as the president. One of the best presidential speeches in any movie, right up there with Harrison Ford. Get off my plane. That might be the best presidential performance of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Air Force One. But it is just such a damn good movie. There's really, great technology with the aliens on this one. Obviously, Men in Black was more like goofy, kind of comic booky, where this one was like legit. Like I thought they looked as good as the movie Alien, like how scary the aliens were. You have so many different side plots, but like the family with Randy Quaid and his boys, I'm back. Like great scene as he's saving the day at the end to his like kind of like, I don't want to like trailer park family. Mm-hmm. You have all these different storylines. I think this movie also spun off where Mars Attacks came in. Like they kind of used this, like, I feel like, I guess you could say like plot lines, the way they kind of set it up. Also, you have Vivica A. Fox in a great role. You have Will Smith. I think that's his actual son, or is that the kid who just played Nicky in Fresh Prince? I always forget.
I think his kid might have been too young. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is Nicky from Fresh Prince.
Yeah, Jaden was talking like a baby on the Big Willie style album.
Yeah, just two of us. Yeah. I just think this is a great summer blockbuster. A lot of fun if you're going to rewatch a movie. Again, not a movie you could just sit down and just watch like front to back on a given day because there's a lot of slow parts. But again, Will Smith, hilarious. The part when he's just kind of all on his own when he kills the alien in the spacecraft. They're out in the desert and he's just dragging him.
That's the best fucking part. Yeah, I fucking love that.
Self-acting, like acting in a mirror. Like we joke about some wrestlers, like they could wrestle a mannequin. Like he literally acts in front of himself, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean when he's just talking shit on the way to the thing, and then he punches him in the face, and that was the only part where I was like, I punched an alien in the face. Is that really going to kill him? But it was still really cool.
Good point.
A fun movie. Stands out to me very highly. Another one of those childhood movies that my parents took me to see, and again, I think I was taken by my parents to see maybe 8 movies. My uncle was like the guy who took us every weekend to see movies. That was like kind of his thing. So I saw 90% of movies with my uncle growing up, but this was like one that like my parents took me to. So it was like one of those like sentimental things, and it would always be on TV, and I loved it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, who you got next?
So for me, turn the fucking mic on.
What is this, the beginning of Fat Joe?
Yeah, mic is on. Now the next one. Now this one is in the the realm of when I was born, but I wasn't like anticipating to see it come out because I was 2 years old when this movie was released. It's Back to the Future, 1985. Ooh. But this one just holds another one that I would watch with my family growing up. My uncle showed me this movie for the first time. It is one of the all-time great movies ever. Like Marty McFly and Doc. One of the all-time greatest duos. Rick and Morty's kind of like based off of this movie.
Oh yeah, I was going to actually ask you that because you watch a lot more Rick and Morty. I don't know how much you read about it, but I've only watched season 1 like on repeat. I'm too scared to even move forward because I know this
phenomenal.
But like I watch it and I always think I'm like this has to be based on like Doc, at least him. Like maybe not Marty as much, but like sometimes he wears like the way he wears the backpack. I'm like Morty. I'm like is this?
I mean, anyway. The guy's wearing a white lab coat with crazy hair. It's a little tiny kid going, oh, geez, I don't know. Doc, what the hell's a chicken want? Like, it's pretty much identical. But the best part about this movie, to me, is the Enchantment Under the Sea dance when they go, and he has to stop his mom from, basically getting raped by Biff and make sure he hooks up with the parents. When he does it's me, your cousin, Marvin Berry, like everything about that whole scene is one of I think it's one of the best scenes in movie history from the dance to the end right there because it's just like got everything that I would want in a movie that I would make. And Michael J. Fox, the peak of his career, just a phenomenal performance. The mother, like Calvin Klein, and like her flirting with him, like he's so dreamy. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, Caroline in the city there, and talk about her peak form there, looking good.
Oh yeah.
But also, everybody was good in this movie too. That's another like just underrated thing. Like a lot of times in movies like this, you kind of like, the acting is fine. But like when you're not like this movie's odd or that character's odd, that means somebody's doing some good acting. And I think throughout this, you had really good performances. You also get, like you said, Biff, which is an all-time like famous heel. When you had bullies in school, you're like, oh, what a Biff! Like, oh, that guy's such a Biff.
McFly.
Yeah.
McFly.
Hello, McFly. And just well, that was a teacher, I think, actually. But everything else, like, it's great. Like the movie, you have the hoverboard stuff. You have so many like innovative things. And time travel can be such a confusing, crappy way of using in movies. We could talk about Endgame another time. But like this movie does such a wonderful job with its time travel stuff because things always equal. And this movie's pretty dark in like a funny way, like kind of like black humor because, or whatever they call it now. I don't know if you can use that term, but like dark humor is because you have Marty's mother trying to hook up with her son. The whole movie plot line is around terrorism. It's dark. It's not like this like lighthearted thing. And then I do like how like I like Back to the Future 1 and 2, and I like how they kind of like correlate with each other. After 3, you could throw in the goddamn garbage, aside from the part where he's dancing when he gets shot.
Another summer blockbuster, I believe.
Yes, you were.
But it came out in the summer.
No, and I think it was like the highest grossing of like 92 or whenever the third one came out. But or maybe it was earlier than that. But anyways, I just think you're right. I think this is one of the all-time great movies. The 80s has a lot of these because obviously it had a time of different technology, but this is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah, the only problem for me with this one is I need to rewatch it every once in a while because it kind of blends with 2 so much because there's so many similar things that happen.
The same movie in different time frame.
Yeah, but it's phenomenal. I love Marty McFly and still waiting on the hoverboard technology that was promised to us, some 25 years ago, 35 years ago. I was
born that year, so I was going to say it's 35 years. Yeah, it is interesting how like like a lot of these things have passed time. Also, the scene you're talking about, Family Guy in one of the best Family Guy episodes called Meet the Quagmires does that exact like scene. With like Brian goes back to try to save Lois to get back with Peter. Great stuff. All right, up next for me, we're going to jump into the 2000s, one of the most highly anticipated movies that kind of changed the game from one of the movies I know that'll be on your list when it comes to comic book action hero, Superman type movies. We're talking comic book movies. It is Spider-Man. The original Sam Raimi Spider-Man was released on, I think it was May 3rd on 2002. Domestic gross of $626.1 million. That's a lot of shekels, people handed out. A Rotten Tomatoes score of 90%. You never see that. Never see that with comic book movies, especially during this era. The audience score is just a 67. I think history has done that to it more than the actual movie. This movie was awesome. This movie was everything. You have the perfect Peter Parker and Tobey Maguire. It built 2002. You're not finding a better one. Up until even this kid's too good looking. I just forgot his name. Who plays Tom Holland or whatever his name is? Tom Holland, who plays Spider-Man now, way too good looking.
No, he looks just like a regular dude.
He does not. He's got a 6-pack. He's got like an 8-pack. No regular dude has an 8-pack.
Spider-Man. He's supposed to.
No, he didn't get it that way. Tobey Maguire didn't, just like the guy. We'll talk about why early superheroes are the best superheroes. But Tobey Maguire was like he was just a dork. Like he wasn't necessarily good looking. He wasn't bad looking. Just looked like your average like dorky kid you probably pick on in high school. Just an awesome movie though. The technology in this one, great villain. You had James Franco. You had
Willem Dafoe is the
absolute
best, Green Goblin you could ever want. He just fucking looks like him. The face
it really perfect. Is. The scene when the Aunt May, who by the way is a gajillion years old, another perfect Aunt May, even though she's more like Grandma Aunt May, when she is praying and he blows up the side of the apartment and just terrifying scene, just goes, "Finish it." She's praying to God. She's doing like an Our Father. He blows up the side of the room and comes in just going, "Finish it." That is terrifying. This movie is great villain, great setup, good scenes. The part where you think his identity is going to be seen a couple times, good stuff. This movie had a ton of hype. It was going to be released months earlier. 9/11 happened. They had to kind of redo some of the scenes because there was obviously not only in the poster was Spider-Man chilling between the Twin Towers. There was a scene with the Twin Towers that was eventually had to be edited out. Incredible movie. One of the ones I remember as a kid being like, okay, this is like got me hyped. And there was a video game that was tied with this that came out right before the movie was released. And one of the best soundtrack songs or song made for a movie, Hero, with Chad Kroeger and Nickelback with Saliva. Oh my God, that song, I've said for years, I want people to remake that every year with different collaborations.
So it was a good movie in 2002, so we weren't really kids. I remember our buddy Kevin, huge Spider-Man guy, and now Spider-Man is probably one of my favorite superheroes, but at the time, I did not love him. I was a Batman guy growing up, so this movie, I thought it was really good, and from a guy who kind of thought Spider-Man was a doof and hated him, that's saying a lot because now some of my favorite movies are Spider-Man movies, but the Tom Holland and the Spider-Verse ones. So Tobey Maguire, helped a little bit with this one. So I really enjoy this one. It's probably my third or fourth favorite Spider-Man movie right now.
Third or fourth. So you're just gonna put like
Spider-Verse and then the first Tom Holland one.
And Spider-Verse is awesome. I always think of I like forget to think of that movie sometimes when I think of the Spider-Man movies. But that movie was incredible. But yeah, a lot of fun watching anything Spider-Man. There's aside from those amazing Spider-Man movies, that was also James Garfield, again, too good looking, in my opinion.
And I don't know if Spider-Man 3 was in the summer, but
oh my God, that movie! I remember when we saw that. I thought it was the best movie I've ever seen.
It's fucking terrible.
There was a million bad guys. There was so much shit going on, just every 2 seconds, crazy shit all the time. And then you realize it's all bad and just really poorly done. But at the time, I was like, it was like a wrestling match to me. It was like a Royal Rumble. There was so much stuff going on. But like, it doesn't mean it's good. But I liked it at the time.
Sounded good at the time. So we'll go to Batman aptly right after that. Batman 89, PG-13, 2 hours and 6 minutes. Pretty much the kickoff to these kind of comic book era movies. I was a huge Batman kid growing up, and pretty much I only had the Adam West ones to lean on. And
they all did. That was it. That was it. Literally, that was the only thing that was of like all superheroes aside from Superman before this. You had like Swamp Thing. That was like a TV show. But nothing really. The Hulk.
I had the shitty, like, they looked like Barbies, but like the Batman and Robin, like the fucking
toys.
Yeah.
The action
the Bruce
figures.
Wayne and the Batman one that was Adam West. So I was a huge Batman kid. And I remember my sister got taken to Canopy Lake that summer. My uncle took her, and my uncle was like, I'll take you to see Batman. Not my uncle who took me all the movies, a different uncle. And he never did. He never did. So every time I saw him, I'd be like, you want to take me to see Batman? He did not. And then every time a new Batman movie came out, and to this day, I still ask him when a Batman movie comes out, are you going to take? Because this was like, I probably shouldn't have seen it. I would have been like 7, maybe 6.
No, you would have been like, like you were born in 83, so you would have been like around 6. 6-ish.
6-ish. But I remember he said he would take me. Maybe my parents were just like, don't take him to see that movie. It's a little too adult. But I fucking love this movie. Michael Keaton, phenomenal job as a tiny little Batman guy. Jack Nicholson was phenomenal as the Joker. I don't like his origin story now, more knowing about the Joker. But, the Mirror, the Prince soundtrack, proving that all movies have all great movies have great soundtracks. Yes. The music in this movie is out of control. It's one of the few times I found Kim Basinger super, super hot. Like
Basinger.
Whatever. She's phenomenal in this movie. And
Vicky Vale. She's great.
I hated the Joker's henchman, though. The guy, he's like his right-hand man. I fucking hated that guy for some reason. He looked like a rip-off Bobcat Goldthwait.
The thing about this movie, on top of you mentioned it, honestly, there's some big sacrifice that have happened in our lifetime. Oh, not ours, but like Ted Williams left baseball to go be in the war and be like a war hero. Prince sacrificed his own music to make the Batman soundtrack. What I mean by that, and obviously that is his music. He released a Batman album that is under the Prince lore. Like, that is his album. He did the whole damn thing. Danny Elfman, obviously, with the score, but like, he made this album. This Bat Dance is awesome. You can listen. Phenomenal. This is a great album. If you're like, I don't know the best way to say it. I don't know if it's like a road trip or you like have to go do something that's going to take you like a half hour in the car and you just want to put on that Batman 89 soundtrack, you will enjoy your time. If it's sunny out, you put those windows down, Bat Dance, you got Vicky Vale, you got some great jams in there. It's awesome. The movie is so much fun. The Joker by Jack Nicholson, like you said, origin, don't care or not. The look of this guy, awesome. The ridiculously big gun towards the end of this movie, that like is still in my head to this day, and I'm waiting for something to replicate how awesome that scene is. Batman with the that was later. I always forget if that was the Visa Batman, but I think that was.
That's George Clooney. Never leave the camera. That's fucking terrible. A lot of the stuff in this Batman kind of sucks. The logo's not one of the better logos. The Batmobile kind of sucks, but him in the suit looks fucking great. The opening scene, I'm Batman, fucking beating the crap out of the thugs. It's a great telling of that Bruce Wayne story, not like the origin or whatever, but just him as Bruce Wayne. I thought he was a very good Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Oh yeah, I liked him as Batman only because it was the first. I give a lot of credit to the first. He wanted to play Batman as well. That is something that goes underrated.
Wouldn't you want to play Batman?
No, of course, but Michael Keaton's such a big fan. Like, there's one other story that's out there that Nicolas Cage, being the biggest Superman fan and was doing everything he could to revive the series in the 90s. He wanted to play Superman. Never ended up happening. But Michael Keaton was like a huge comic book nerd and said he did everything he could to get that role, and they gave it to him. Even though the producers, the directors, like everyone creating the movie was like, he doesn't really look like Batman, but it ended up working out. Obviously looked like me, and then got in a bat suit and looked jacked. But I love the movie.
Let's get nuts.
Incredible. Well, Bill, we'll go from one Batman to maybe the greatest Batman movie. Yeah. In 2008, it was released on July 18th. We're talking about The Dark Knight. Talk about hype. You heard about this movie for like 4 months. Obviously, the death of Heath Ledger did a lot to kind of spark a bigger conversation about this movie. But this movie, obviously Batman Begins, I thought was incredible. It's one of my favorite of the Batman, all the Batmans as well. I'm a big origin story fan, but this movie grossed $671.3 million. That is a lot of shekels as well. And also, this one just crushes. On the tomato score, Rotten Tomato, 94%. 94% audience score. That means critics and audience alike. That's very rare on there. But this movie's just got it all. Great storytelling, incredible action. The ups and downs of being a hero. Like they play so much more than just your prototypical superhero. This is really where I think this was the pivot point for all superhero movies, where it wasn't about being that good guy who rises above and does all the right things. It goes behind to be like, I have to sometimes do the right thing that's going to make me look bad, that's going to make the whole thing better. And it was just really, really well done. This movie, Heath Ledger, I still think, and put a bully gun to my head, Bart gun to my dick. I think the reason he's revered as much is because of his passing. I say this all the time. I'm not trying to take away. It's an amazing performance regardless. But I think like I said, Nirvana is one of the biggest bands of all time. The Beatles are one of the biggest bands of all time, because you'll never see them again. You'll never see more because of, early deaths and things like that. But I just think Heath Ledger was incredible in this movie, but the hype became even bigger. And obviously, I don't think people talk enough about Christian Bale. He's okay as Batman. Like, this movie, he was really cool. His voice is way over the goddamn top. Like, people want to make fun of Bane and the Dark Knight Rises, but him in this movie, if you watch it again, it's ridiculous. He must have the sorest of sore throats after filming.
I really, really love this movie. The Two-Face element of it makes it probably, over the top, one of the better Batman movies, because the storytelling of that, along with the Joker and the way they both play into it, is absolutely phenomenal. Heath Ledger's performance is legendary, and I think it would be legendary to the same heights if he was still alive. I get the whole, you appreciate an artist a little bit more after he passes. The Nirvana thing we already touched on. Our, what was it, 90 rock band thing. I still think they're great. And I don't care about the death. Like, this performance by Heath Ledger was out of this world good. The whole, from start to finish, like the scene in the bank, from like that to where he has the two guys fight with the fucking broken pool cues. Like, everything about his performance is great. I think the ending of this movie is slightly weak. That's the only thing I take away from this, where the ending of The Dark Knight Rises is fucking awesome. Like, this one just takes a little bit less.
No, The Dark Knight Rises is garbage ending. He throws an atomic bomb, blows up, and it's like, oh, look at us over in France sipping on some tea. Hi, Alfred.
I don't know. I kind of like it.
That's fine. You like bad things.
But yeah, phenomenal movie.
Yes.
Moving right along here. The next one, is this my last one?
This is your last one, Bill.
Oh, wow.
Down to the final two.
Okay. So this is one of my all-time favorite movies. Do we consider Into the Spider-Verse isn't an MCU movie, right?
No, Spider-Verse is not.
Obviously not. It's a fucking cartoon. What am I talking about? But Guardians of the Galaxy 2014, PG-13, 2 hours and 1 minute, action, adventure, comedy, came out August 1st, 2014. And I gotta say, I was not into the Marvel universe at all. I saw Iron Man. I maybe saw a couple. I saw that first Hulk movie with all of our friends. And I was like, you know what? Not for me. Like, you ever seen one by itself? Not for me. I went to movies with a bunch of people to see this. Didn't know what to expect. Was not expecting to like it at all. I was like, yeah, they're all going. I'll fucking go. I don't care. And I walked out of the movie being like, this might be one of my favorite movies of all time. I think I saw it in theaters 2 or 3 times. The second it came on Amazon, I bought it. The soundtrack to this movie is absolutely amazing. The story is amazing. I'm wearing a Star Wars t-shirt because, it's also one of them was a summer blockbuster. But to me, this is I think Goose said it online, and I've said it forever. This is basically Star Wars. It's the same kind of story.
I will fight people to death. It's the better Star Wars.
And I'm sorry, 100%. Not even close. It's not even close.
I'm not a Star Wars person. I understand the lure of it, and I understand people love it, and amazing things that it's done. It's done freaking 50 years worth of going back and forth. But this movie is this generation. If you're a kid now, this should be your Star Wars. Aside from the fact that it's part of the Marvel universe, so I guess the MCU is kind of your Star Wars. But if this wasn't part of the MCU, if this was just a standalone comic book movie brought to life, this would be incredible. Like this would have so much bigger lore to it, I think, than it does now.
Because basically all of the character archetypes are in this one movie. They just kind of pair them up a little differently. Like, what's his name? Obviously, fucking Groot is Chewbacca. And they kind of pair off Peter Quill's character with Rocket's character to be the Han Solo type of guy.
Yeah.
And, he's also a little bit of Luke, Peter Quill. But it's one of the better told movies I've ever seen. I literally just watched it right before this. And once I got done watching it, I was like, I could watch this again right now. Yondu in this movie is fucking amazing too. I forgot how good his little storyline is. Everything about it from start to bottom. I'm your daddy. Yeah, from top to bottom is great. And the music in this movie is part of the movie, and it's fucking. This is like a soundtrack I'll listen to, and everybody can listen to. It's just perfectly done.
It's a really, really, like, I think the big thing we're going along with this, and obviously we're big music fans, but like some of the music in some of these movies, there's such a huge element to it. Now, I'll tell you a funny story about this. Now, I had no interest once I heard they were releasing Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm a comic book knowledgeable. When I was a kid, my dad used to read me comic books. We used to read comic books together. I used to like be into them for a very short period of time, probably the first like 10 years of my life. And then I was like, okay, then they started making more of these movies. Like I said, Spider-Man was coming out, huge. I was like, oh, this is awesome. All the Batmans, great. Iron Man, I'm like, okay, kind of a minor guy. I used to have the toys and read a little bit, but okay, I'm into him. Hulk, love the Hulk. And then it started like, I like Thor. I'm like, cool. Then I hear Guardians of the Galaxy. And that's when I literally was like, I'm out. They're going too far with this. All these movies can't be great. I'm done. I remember my wife one time when I was working, when I first went over to one of the radio stations, sports radio stations, I was doing an overnight. She said she watched this movie and she said to me, you're not going to like this. And so I said, all right, she knows me well enough. I'm not going to like it. Next thing you know, everybody and their mother was calling me like, oh, the music in this movie, it's going to be your favorite. You're going to love it. I sat down and watched this movie and I was blown the F away. I didn't see it in theaters. I didn't see it probably till like 2016, once it was like available on like on demand or whatever. So who knows, 15, 16. And it's easily in my top 5. I'm going to probably redo my ranking sooner or later, but it is by far, like, I think I had a top 3 last time I ranked
movie
them.
Of all time or MCU?
No, sorry. MCU. No. Movie of all time.
It's a top 5 movie for me all time.
Billy, I am going to have to start taking some goddamn notes on your movies because I think by the point you've already talked about 5 today that are in your top 10. Last week you told me Step Brothers is in there. The week Tommy Boy's in there.
No, it's not in my top 10.
Which one?
Tommy Boy.
Oh, it is now. No, but yeah, I have to keep clips of that. But anywho, it's such a good movie. Not a big fan of the second one as much, but I love their involvement in Infinity War, which realistically could be, anybody can fight me on this, could be one of the best movies of all time. Like, people can go to bat with me all day with that one. Infinity War is incredible, and they play such a big role in that.
I mean, it gets an 8.0 on IMDb, which I think is, like, this movie is pretty much, there's a little bit of lull to get the story going, but once it gets going, from there on out, it's just a fucking perfect movie. And also that opening scene with the mother, like, dying is such a huge part that you don't realize. Like, obviously movies always do that. Like, they set up these opening scenes for you to kind of forget about to then tie it back later. You talked about Yondu, how he plays into all that. But, like, this movie, and then we didn't even mention, like, Zoe Saldana plays fucking awesome.
She's so good in this. Like, we live in a world where I think people are super critical of female characters, especially in like male-dominated like movies or TV shows. But she is so damn good in it. She's believable and she's green. Yeah,
she's phenomenal, and she's pretty hot even as a green lady.
Yeah, you do her.
Absolutely. And that's one of my favorite things when he's talking about all like the girls like he was hooking up with as like different species. Yes. It's fucking hilarious. Like, he's incredibly fucking charming in this movie. Drax is hilarious. Rocket is fucking hilarious.
You like all the characters. You like them all.
Everyone. You love them all. You love every single one of them.
It's the greatest payday for Vince freaking Diesel ever.
Vin Diesel.
Him too. His brother's in it too. You didn't know? All right. So then my last one, Bill, it's kind of, we've all complimented each other as we went through. It's the last one in mine, at least chronologically. It's The Avengers, or Marvel's The Avengers. 2012, released May 4th, $692.7 gajillion dollars. It earned in there. Got a Rotten Tomatoes score of 92%, a critic score of 91%. This is probably the biggest hyped movie of all of the movies we talked about for one reason only, that this was like the first of its kind, where there was 4 or 5 movies released prior, depending on Hulk and all that. But like it was all leading to this. You started getting these Nick Fury stuff. Well, I didn't know the hell Nick Fury was. And then everything led to this movie. Now, this movie is good, not the best. It's a really great action, great scenes. But this movie had so much going on. That summer, I remember seeing that at least probably twice. Seeing it, I think it was the second weekend because my dad was never a fan of seeing things on like the weekend because it's too crazy. But me and my dad went to go see this one, and I remember being like, jacked. This movie was awesome in theaters. Great action, great storytelling. Again, in this one, you have an ensemble cast, and I thought that was an ensemble cast. Again, I just talked about Infinity War. That's not on this list because it was released earlier in the year, so it was Endgame. But it's just insane what the MCU was able to do. It just shows what good production, consistent writing, and being on the same page can do. But I think this is one of the biggest blockbusters of since we were born because there was so much talk and so much hype and years of hype going into this.
Yeah, it was a huge movie. At this time, I don't think I was into it really at all. Like I said, I got into it with Guardians. People I knew were watching these movies. I saw it much, much, much later, obviously, like 2015 maybe was when I really got big into the MCU after all these movies. So I wasn't really on board then, but like it was everywhere. And all of our friends were going to see it. I was just like, I'm kind of done with these movies. But, it won me over. Eventually, I, have watched all of them a bunch of times since. This I would not rank super duper high on my MCU list. It would probably be in like not the top tier, probably second-ish tier if you're doing like 3 of them. But it's a very, the meetup with, Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man. That's probably, one of the cooler parts, but it kind of like gets blown away by all the stuff as, these movies keep progressing.
Yeah, in my last rankings, my very last time I did this, I can't tell when this note was updated. I know things have changed because Infinity War has grown so much because I just love the movie. I had Guardians of the Galaxy as my number 1 MCU. The Avengers was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But I also had Thor really high because I love that movie. Like
Ragnarok?
No. I've had that low. I did not like Ragnarok in the beginning, but things have changed. Because Ragnarok's a comedy. It's not even like it's just like a goofy ass movie. It's like total side plot. I'm very weird. As you already know, but things have definitely changed. Like I can watch that now more than I could watch some of the other ones. Like I don't know. Anyways, but that was just for me. I think, obviously Marvel could have probably done more in the summertime and probably really dominated this list and a lot of others, but they just dominate so much. They're like, we'll give some other people the summers. But those are our lists, our favorite summer blockbusters. These are all since we were born. Obviously, we, like Bill mentioned, there's Star Wars. We mentioned Jaws. We mentioned there's other movies like Amityville Horror was one of my favorite horror movies. But like that's not a summer blockbuster to me. No. There's other movies out there.
Incredibles 2.
Yeah, like what? I've never seen The Incredibles.
The Shrek ones, we skipped over Shrek, but Shrek was pretty big.
Yeah, Shrek was big, and the one that could have went for me, it was between that and Spider-Man, but I just remember the hype for Spider-Man. But the other one I saw way more times, The Lion King. Like, that movie could have easily been on here, too. I just kind of stay away from cartoons because I don't look at cartoons like summer blockbusters. Maybe it's just because I'm a Will Smith coming out of that, like action and like drama and all these things. But Lion King, huge goddamn movie. My favorite personal of all the Disney's.
Yeah, Aladdin slightly beats it out for me, but it's probably top 3.
I think those are the 2 that most people are going to argue about. Toy Story obviously comes into the frame as well. But that's going to do it for us. Let us know your favorite summer blockbusters. What do you think? Like, and then Bill, I guess one last question: is there any like now movie theaters are open? By the way, as we're recording this, movie theaters are back open. They're back open, baby. I don't know what you can see in there, but Tenet is coming out next month. Mm-hmm. But is that the only movie that has a chance to even be on this list for this year? Like, is there anything else that's even like?
There's nothing that I've seen hyped. I mean, how could you hype anything? Wasn't one that they canceled a bunch of movies? I think
Black Widow,
Fast and the Furious that was supposed to come out.
Yeah, Fast and the Furious, Fast 8, 9, whatever they are. The one with John Cena now in it. But yeah, that was pushed back. Black Widow was pushed back. A couple other movies was pushed back. There's that Steve Carell like running for president movie that's coming up, but I don't think that has anything blockbustery and not going to make any money. But I don't know. Very interesting. We'll see. I think Tenet is the only one that really has a chance because people have been talking about that movie for like a year, and now we're finally seeing that it's some wacky stuff. And I don't know. Christopher Nolan, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt till he really pisses me off.
Fair enough.
That's going to be it. So, Bill, our schedule for the rest of July looks like this. We'll go backwards. Once the week of sports returning, which would be the week of July 27th, that is the Monday, that week we'll be doing favorite athletes. We'll look back in time at our favorite athletes from all the sports. On the week before that, which we're looking at 2 weeks away, we will be introducing the 1999 Pop Culture Pile Driver Jukebox. We're going to be retiring a song to go into our jukebox from the year 1999. By the way, I've been doing research about that. That is going to be a very emotional podcast. You're going to want to listen to that one.
Oh, it's amazing. It's the fucking unreal year.
There's some songs. I just looked at the Billboard Top 100 end of year list. First of all, it's the year of the female. Like the top 7 artists, the top 7 songs are all female artists, and like 8 out of 11 are female artists.
Can I guess the number one was Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On?
You're incorrect. That was earlier. That was a couple years before. Titanic, I think, came out in 97, but don't quote me. I'll tell you what that is in a few weeks. We also have an Extreme Rules, now called Horror Show at Extreme Rules. It's a WWE pay-per-view of the month. We'll be doing a live reaction to that one. That one's said and done. And next week, it will be a very interesting topic. It'll be a very interesting podcast, to say the least. We'll have some special guests with us. It is going to be creating the greatest song ever. I want to give a little tease on what that's. Yeah. It's basically we're going to be in
the best song in the world. So it won't actually be the greatest and best song in the world. It will just be us drafting 4 musical artists as of right now. We're going to work out the exact details to figure out. You got to pick. If you want a hip hop song, you draft 4 people to make a hip hop song. You want a rock song, you draft 4 people to make a rock song. We'll tweet out the list, see who had the best potential, and then I say we do it with living people only. Oh. Because that way, in case it gets big enough, they actually want to make the song for us. Could be a huge hit. The internet is a wild world. Things can catch on like this. That'll be it. You can follow him at Billy D2411 on the old Twitter machine. I'm at Jason D. Rossi. You can follow me there. You can follow us at Pop Culture PD. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on YouTube at Pop Culture Pile Driver. Just type in 3 different words, PCB. Get addicted to the content, Bill. Make sure they do so. And don't forget, check us out over on Facebook at the hashtag Dork Shared Universe. Our content and the content of many other great podcasts like Change My Mind, Mac and Goo, Dork, my Miska podcast, Shime, Davey, and Dr. Joe, Backcracker, all on there as well. I think there's only 4 podcasts: us, Dork, Mac and Goo, and Change My Mind. So go there. All the great content. They're pumping out clips like nobody's business. It's been a lot of fun so far, and I think we've already started to see the results in views and watches for everyone. So that's how you kind of up your social media game. You kind of tell your friends to tell your friends and get together, and that's how you up it. So hopefully it works for all of us.
Tell your friends, hope we can be friends, and maybe one day we can all be friends. That's the way it works. All right, we will both catch you next week, and when we create the greatest song ever, we'll catch you then. Frank says hi.